One of the issues, and I know this has been a big focus of yours for months, for many months, and that is on energy. The nuclear inquiry that's travelling around the country, the merits for nuclear versus the scare campaign really against it. Are you concerned, from someone who thinks that the energy system does need a real shift in focus, that the lack of detail from the coalition is going to hamper them?
Look, I think that probably is a problem in the long run, and I think that, I do think that eventually Australia is going to go nuclear at some stage. It will, because what we're doing is ruinously expensive, and the stuff that we're putting in now will have to be replaced every 25 years. So, and we will see, as we saw last week, what the real shortcomings of this system are. Nothing will be made in Australia, but yeah, the coalition has a big job of work to do because nuclear is illegal here. So we've got to clear that hurdle, and even if they got into government, would they ever get it through the Senate? So I actually think that the hope of the side in the end might well be the Labor premiers. People in South Australia and people in New South Wales might begin to recognise that we're on the wrong path. And as they said, only Nixon could go to China. Maybe one day Labor premiers will say this is a conversation that we need to have. The rest of the world's having it. Like, the thing that gets me about the conversation down here is it's so dumb. And let's not forget, this government inquiry, this is a stitch up. Right, never hold an inquiry unless you know the answer beforehand. So the Labor Party wants the results of an inquiry where the majority will say that we shouldn't be doing this, it's too ruinously expensive, and of course there'll be a minority report from the Liberals that says we should.
It's interesting that Nixon to China point, because you think back to the late great Bob Hawke, who actually advocated for nuclear energy in this country.
Mate, but like I say, if you look at what's happening in the conversation around the world, where particularly with the rise of AI, where the demand for data centres is going to be mind-boggling. Now, if you think that we're going to do that with solar panels and wind turbines in Australia, we're not, which simply means we won't compete. Like, those places will go to where there's cheap energy, and where they'll go first, before they go nuclear, will be to the cheap gas in Texas, right? They will set up their data centres alongside those things. They'll be paying virtually nothing for power. They'll be able to run them 24/7. The United States now is on the cusp of an enormous explosion in knowledge and industry, and it's all built around the fact that over the course of the last 15 years, the United States has risen to become the biggest producer of oil in the world and one of the biggest producers of natural gas.
We've got those economic figures coming up in about 10 minutes, so I'll just ask you one more question. I do want to get your thoughts on Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Decision to pardon his son, despite saying repeatedly that he wouldn't intervene.
Yeah. It looks tawdry. You can understand why a father would want to do it, but all the things that they accuse Donald Trump of, they are guilty of themselves. And let's not forget, let's not let him off the hook. Donald Trump pardoned a lot of very ordinary people along the way as well, but Joe Biden has shown that the Democrats are no different from the Republicans. And I think that the Democrats now are in the process of trying to work out what on earth they do and what on earth they are. They're but run the risk of drawing the wrong conclusions, right? But I think that the stuff that the president has just done hasn't done the Democrats' cause any good at all.
No, it certainly hasn't. In fact, I think many Democrats would argue there's been a lot that he's done over the last 12 to 18 months that hasn't done their cause any good. Chris, great to see you as always. We'll see you next week.